Don't just take their money and run like a butter bar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks? We are live, and I think we're gonna have some viewers today that we are excited to have. A lot of people may be coming on from the X Factor, and I apologize for my internet. I am in the Navy's backyard of Annapolis, and apparently, when you buy high-speed internet in an Annapolis hotel, it is slow, just like their boats. All right, slow. All right, we ain't having it.
It's because they don't use coal, steam power.
Yeah, maybe we need the VA to come down here and cut some of this. All right, that's what we get. That's what we can get. Find some money. But no, excited to host the TOC Monkey. Excited to bring on Tanner Port again. We haven't come up with a clever name for him yet. We still got to get that going. Whatever he wants, he's got to make a decision. He just got to do it. And then we can introduce it. But I'm the Big Earl. Love this. Like the title says, get your real news from the TOC Monkey. No matter what's going on, no matter what you're seeing on the websites, you're going to get sometimes Tanner and I agreeing 100%. You're going to get us sometimes 60-40, 10-90. It doesn't matter. But you're going to get the real news from us. And the website he's created, go to it right now, tocmonkey.com. Absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the best websites I've seen created to get your real news from it. But other than that, Tanner, what we got going on, man? How you doing?
Dude, what a week. I took my comp exam for modern European history. That's the notes y'all see back there for some of them. Well, I took the oral portion of it, so I'll do the written coming up here probably next week. So kind of over talking about Napoleon and just, all the way up through the Cold War but got to have some really cool discussions with like my academic advisors and stuff like that. So that was cool. Did a lot of legislative stuff this week. So that was fun. Got a new client for the mineral rights business I run. So that's awesome. Cool. A little bit more money. And then I actually went up to the JIPO today, right there. The Gav, I got invited out to go to the SWIC industry day to talk with some guys about AI and Devarty. That's kind of below the Maven level. So trying to get AI more at the tactical level and not like a lame way, really. And so my focus was really trying to the low hanging fruit of helping out staffs and stuff. So more to follow on that. So that was kind of the personal stuff. Oh yeah, I gave I really don't want to use his name, but whatever. Last names will work. Devay, right? I gave him a golf lesson today. That was fun. Changed his life in 30 minutes. Shout out to Sar Major. Low and slow, weight on the front foot. My man was like, dude, we went from not getting off the tee box to like, it's still all arms. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, that'll, because he plays a lot of baseball and softball like competitively now. Since he retired, but so I was like, we'll just work with that. You know what I mean? You're so damn strong that like you can drive the ball 220 yards with your arms, dude. Like, and it's in the middle, like you can play golf, right? And so, did that, and so
70-year-olds be doing it all day long.
Yeah, right. Like not too easy, man. So like, it just had a good day, had a good week here in the lovely Fort Bragg community, and then all hell broke loose, right? Like over the last kind of 48 hours, right? And we'll get to that a little bit later, but I had to call my mom because like my mom is a Joe Scarborough fan. I don't know if she's necessarily a morning Joe fan, but she does like George Scarborough. So like we got retweeted by him, which like got to call mom, which and then everybody on, and then had a lot of fun on Twitter, which we'll get to. But yeah, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of viewers on Twitter right now. They hanging on. I think this is the most we've ever had.
Well, dude, so I don't know if you know this, but you suck. Your company's not shit. I'm an idiot. And apparently, and I'm misrepresenting this, so I apologize to the man. I might be the son of an astronaut, so I'm gonna need that back pay for child support.
Right? Where is that at?
Yeah, right. Like I feel like that'll be a good chunk, and then that'll help me pay for some of these APIs that run www.tocmonkey.com. So that'd be fun. Hey man, without further ado, I'm gonna hit the 6 COCOM update, and then we'll just get into it because I think we're gonna end up. I think we got some stuff to discuss, right? Yeah. All right. So without further ado, AFRICOM. RSF has solidified its position. Now we've beat them up we've beat that with the dead horse over the last 3 days, and no disrespect to the genocide that's occurring there with that metaphor. I apologize. But absolutely have solidified kind of their position, got more static. And in the West, they got at least 5 of the 6 regional capitals. So keep an eye on that. Again, that's one of our premier indicators for this Cold War that we have going on between the UAE and Saudi Arabia for the Red Sea. In CENTCOM, tons of things going on, right? The MOU, obviously, I talked about it last week, was signed. Open source reporting right now that was at least confirmed by one U.S. official that Iran struck some type of boat, right, around the Strait of Hormuz here recently in the last 24. But it's going to be one of those things that everybody kind of looks away, and they'll probably blame it on just, a lone actor or something like that. But it's holding. Vance obviously went to Switzerland. We had the talks. There's been some type of progress, and both sides came out touting that they won. Like Iran is saying that basically, no, we're not selling our stuff. We're not using our money to buy agriculture. So just there's a lot going on. The ball hasn't moved down the field, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. Right. So just is what it is. The only other big thing is that SecWar, is up on the hill asking for arguably or reportedly like $80 billion to supplement the war effort. But don't worry, y'all, we're not at a critical low spot with anything, right? That's
cheers to Whiskey Pete.
Yeah, cheers, Whiskey Pete. We got you. Oh, real quick segue. I'm a man at the liquor store, B-Hawk guys out in Southern Pines. Now, look, we don't have any sponsors on the show, and Gruntworks and VTT are sponsored by 10th Mountain.
10th Mountain. 10th Mountain.
We love them support. But I happenly just showed up the day that B-Hawk opened. Awesome people, obviously an awesome story. You should check them out. And I usually make it out there about once a month. Me and Heather sat there and drank the Colonel's drink, Madam Colonel's drink with the pistachio, and like Heather was bartending and making drinks, and we ended up getting to have a great day on their opening day. Anyway, sorry. Indo-PACOM. Stop. No longer Indo-PACOM. Now PACOM. I apologize because we don't care about India. Major developments, which I'm going to break down a little bit for you more, right? But the Philippines are not happy, right? China's reportedly put a floating platform inside the Scarborough Shoal Lagoon in late May, early June. This is about 120 nautical miles just off of Luzon. We'll show you on the map here in a second. This is, you'll hear me call Iran habitual line steppers. Like China is a habitual line stepper, and this is another indicator of that, but we'll get to that a little bit more. Southcom, we killed a TDA boss. Sweet video. My only gripe was that is in the strike cell, because they blurted out, like, guys, when you're in a strike cell, if you just yell out to the ITC to drop the metadata, you don't have to have the blurs, right? You got, it's a, like, the operator of the Hellfire or the bombs you're dropping, like, doesn't need to know the grid, dude. It's already plugged in, right? So if you just drop it, it just makes to look for a better picture. If you have any questions about this, you can find some of my strikes on CENTCOM's YouTube channel, and they look pretty, right? So do it that way.
No
and then Northcom. Hey, so, weird flex, but whatever, bro. Come at me. Northcom World Cup's happening, right? We had the wackadoodles. I think one of them was a legal immigrant. That was a Dreamer kid or DACA kid that wanted to do the wild strike on the UFC 250, which bad form. Like, I understand that some people are going to feel some type of way about UFC 50.
Yeah, weird. Radicalized in California. Yeah,
I mean that checks out for you. I mean, you are. I actually have.
I'm there to try to. I'm like Darth Vader there. I'm trying to bring like the Force together, right? I'm trying to center it, right? Like there's got to be, I mean, you got to be good and evil.
Well, dude, y'all got some solid reps out there. I think you get a bad rap, but there are some pretty center Democrats like out in California that I think are, you know more about it than me. Like I primarily focus obviously at the state level in North Carolina, but things are changing out there. And then so that's our COCOM update, right? So I will fix the website to change because we want to be accurate. I'll change the COCOM Indo-PACOM to PACOM because we're back to that now. And then sporting news, the Knicks 53-year drought. It was awesome. I don't care who now San Antonio ain't no joke, right? And I am a Texan fan, but gee, if you can fix your lips to hate on Jalen Brunson right now with the performance that he put on, dude, like, I don't know what to tell you. You're not fun.
I was watching an interesting take on college sports and obviously how how NIL has kind of ruined it, and how the script has flipped to where we're seeing cultures get built in the professional sports as opposed to cultures being built in college, right? Where it used to be the opposite. Everybody loved watching college football because of the culture, right? You watch, you watch this pride, these teams, and now you got all these guys jumping. Now you see what New York did. They pretty much drafted a culture over the last 5 years. Yeah. All the guys from Villanova, right? And they drafted a winning culture.
And Brunson changed his contract to be friendly. You know what I mean? Like I think at that level now, I appreciate that now across all sports. I'll say this. It's the championship. I mean, they've always mattered. Don't get me wrong, guys. But there was this, I think if you watch sports like me and Nick do, again, the tickers on TocMonkey.com, it matters to me. It matters to him. And hopefully y'all like it. But, championships matter. Winning matters, right? That's what we're all about here at, Veteran Trash Talk, Gruntworks, and TocMonkey. And I think you're definitely start to see it's an interesting point you bring up that at the professional level, like the champion. Okay, dude, cool. We got all the money in the world. Fine. Like, I want the ring. I want, the trophy and so, I don't know how you hate on, the same thing we saw it in the Stanley Cup too. Like everybody thought it was going to be this lame Stanley Cup, dude. It was like, dude, this is great hockey. and that was great basketball. I don't care. And then like his performance was just remarkable, dude. That last game was like, I was like, damn, son. Like, shout out to the Mavericks for shitting away two of like the best players ever, like Luka and Brunson. We couldn't get it. They couldn't figure it out.
Hey, I was talking to somebody with insider knowledge on that who happens to be in the Mavericks organization, and I obviously won't say him by name, but it goes along the script of like how people think the NFL is scripted. He goes, there were certain teams that needed to get prominent again, and NBA made some reconciliation to make sure it happened. So
like, I mean, you know, I mean, what do they say in Hamilton? Like my daughter loves Hamilton, so it's like, you know, be in the room where it happens. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, man, like we gotta, like, these are our big market teams, and we got to make something. You know, we got to get them back on the TV.
So Dallas, I'll just say Dallas, who only had like 3 balls in the lottery, somehow gets the #1 pick.
Right.
It was because they made a deal that no logical person would have made unless you were in the room knowing that, hey, you're gonna get this ball's gonna pop up in your favor,
and you're gonna get Cooper Flag. You're gonna get Cooper Flag. Who just what a year he had, man. Yeah. So, dude, I'm excited. Like the NBA is, you know, I know it catches a lot of flack, and obviously, like, you know, whatever. And I mean, I like basketball, so whatever, dude. But like the talent that's out there right now, and just like how it's spread out over different markets, the small market teams still absolutely have a chance. And like to your point, I saw this interesting report where Dolan, they were like, the reason we won is because Dolan was worried about the sphere. You know what I mean? Like he was out in LA or out in Vegas, like building the dome or the sphere, so he didn't care. Like that's how we got this done. Like he just wasn't around. All right, you want to talk about China?
Yeah, let's do it. I like the China talk because I got an old history, you know, version of China that I still like to believe in. So
I will lean on you here because you were a Hawaii guy. You were a 212 or what's y'all's brigade out there? It was
235 3rd Brigade, the Broncos, Cacti, baby.
Cacti. How many Rangers did you put through out there? You'd always be bragging.
More than they have ever seen, right? But then again, that was old Colonel Rob Ryan. He brought all us out there, and so every first sergeant, every first sergeant was either an RI the previous job or coming from regiment in the charter program. So it was they were not ready for the Bronco Brigade. Nope.
Bro, y'all were killing it there for a while. That was awesome. But so PACOM, dude, it's gonna take me 2 months of not saying Indo-PACOM. I think I shared it to you. So guys, we're today, right? Like, again, China is a habitual line stepper, and they obviously, one of the things I like to frame China as is that they, I think a misconception, and like people talk about the city's trap and all this stuff, is like China doesn't want to beat us, they want to be us, right? And so, but they're not stupid. And they historically just, you know, we talk about the way that different countries look at war. China doesn't look at it the same way we do, right? And y'all have heard me say this, like we look, and you're seeing this on Twitter right now. It's like diplomacy. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to start shooting. And not every country in the world looks at it that way, right? So not to belabor that point, but the South China Sea is a critical juncture right here, especially when you start thinking about Taiwan and just overall the sphere of influence. Now, we have enabled some of this, and I don't mean that to be a bad thing, right? But
do you want to share your screen or no?
Did I do it? I thought I did. It's in there, I think. I don't know. We suck.
We don't have to do it, but
yeah,
that way people watching, again, go to TOCmonkey.com and you'll see what he's talking about. Tanner has made an amazing website that follows all this. So I thought I saw you share the screen.
All right. Something happened. I did. It says it's sharing, but I don't see it on this. Let me see. I don't know. That's lame. We needed Chris. Our guy's playing pool, guys. Sorry, the producer. Like, you know, shout out to Chris being a 4 or whatever he is in pool.
Yeah, whatever pocket pool he's playing. When you're a 4 or 5, that's all you're doing is playing pocket pool, bro.
Right. So
not in the right pocket.
So you got Taiwan, right? That's north of the Philippines. I'm gonna try to talk y'all onto this. Nerd me wants to get on the whiteboard, but it's not worth all that, right? And so just south of that, right, as you get further down, right, you have the Philippines right there, and in between the Philippines and then China, and then Vietnam, right, you have the South China Sea, right, and then at the north end of the Philippines is Luzon. So from a World War II bus, right, obviously a key piece of terrain. So just off the west coast of that, right, is this triangle reef, and it's referred to, or its name is the Scarborough Shoal, right? So what happened earlier this month, or late May, and then earlier in this month, is, and you've seen plenty of reporting over this since the 1990s, and then and especially picking up during the Obama years, and then even more so since then, of them basically building up these man-made islands, and then creating naval bases out of them, right, or missile launch sites or whatever. And so this is really about projecting power. If anything, not to get back to Iran, but geography remains undefeated, right, in conflicts, and so it matters. And what we're seeing is, if you can manipulate geography, which China obviously believes it can, and is doing actively, and then you can control certain choke points of it, especially when you think about the strait that comes through from the Indian Ocean back to the South China Sea. If you can control those straits, it becomes a very similar situation to what you see happening right now in the Strait of Hormuz, right? So if you can tighten those, you can obviously disrupt the world economy, and that gives you leverage. And that goes straight to what we talk about when we think about compelling people, right? And I know no greater evidence to show you than what we're living right now inside the United States. So let me give you the timeline. Back in April 2012, the Philippine Navy tries to apprehend some Chinese fishing boats at the shoal. It's a month long, like this thing goes on for months, and there's a standoff. Obviously, at this time, President Obama's president. And so that goes on. U.S. ends up brokering this mutual withdrawal deal. So China stays, and effectively China begins controlling this area. And then we get pushback because the Philippines feel like, in Manila, feel like we've left them hanging. Like, stop me if you've seen this movie before, right? And then 2016, Permanent Court of Arbitration rules that China's claim is invalid and the blockade of the Filipino fishers is illegal. Beijing says, fuck off, right? Like, because as we would expect they would.
Just like we would.
Yeah, just like we would. 2018, the Philippines foreign minister publicly calls no construction on the shoal, and then calls it, and this is what's key here, is he calls it a Philippine red line, right? Like, if you build on this thing, right, fine, you've been stealing the fish and you're doing what you do all over the world, cool. But if you do what you've been doing further south in the South China Sea and you start building like actual military infrastructure on it, we're going to have a problem. So one of our allies, which is Philippines, shout out to, well, that's a sad story I don't want to go into, but we'll talk about that president later, right? But so in the 2025, China declares the shoal a national nature reserve. So environmentalists to the rescue, right? Like, China is now claiming basically that it's a national park for them, and whatever that means in that. But essentially it's read as like, this is now the legal cover. Again, obviously a correlation to what we see Iran doing, this environmental tax that they're looking, instead of to do a toll on the Strait of Hormuz. Same game, different name. And then obviously large objects and a floating platform were spotted inside the lagoon. And then the Philippines came out and like a week ago confirms that there are structures, and that demands that China removes the platform. And then the U.S. came out, and Rubio had some things to say about it. But essentially, yes, that, we confirm it's there and that we're monitoring the situation. And so it's classic kind of Chinese habitual line stepping protocol, right? And that's where we're at currently. Now, there's a lot of this feeds into, and now if you go to Tocmonkey, and again, shout out to our producer, you can check the criminal organizations inside of China, and as well as some of the other players in this area that are enabling some of this, because we're talking about illegal fishing. We're talking about black market shipping. Oh, there it goes. My man.
No, yeah. Hey, we'll give Chris some credit here. It was my fault. I'm like, wait, he told me there was something I had to do.
Right.
The infantry guy figured it out. Where's infantry Dort at, man? Make a comment, Dort. That's you, man. That's your fam. That's me. So
yeah. So this right here, this little dot, right, that I'm zooming in on. Sorry, guys. Philippines, right? And then this dot right here is the shoal, right? So this is what we're talking about. So these other things are island rings or shoals, or, you know, for the geography nerds out there, some other terms, right? But that's all key terrain, right? And when you think about missile rings, and so that's the update I owe you. I have it for Taiwan. You can kind of see them on the screen here. If I pull off this Taiwan straight tab, right, and let me say combatant commands, and then the rings, right, like when I come back, you're gonna see that's North Korea's ballistic missile rings and stuff like that. What I owe y'all is, now as this situation develops, and if it gets a little bit hotter, because again, the Philippines have called it a red line, and now the concern is, at least strategically, that if we don't do something, right, which is tough right now, because POTUS just went out to China. We're supposed to have all these business deals. I would argue that they feel like they're in a pretty strong position.
Right.
We're trying to appease them a little bit with what's going on in CENTCOM. And so they have some latitude here to be a little bit, I won't call it bold, because that's not what this is. These are increment steps to be able to project power for them. But as you've seen, third-party actors like the Philippines, if they believe that the U.S. is not a reliable ally in this sense, and their own government has said this is one of our red lines, this becomes a wild card. And then it becomes a flashpoint really quickly, depending on, you know, what they do at the UN, or if there's an incident, you know, with some small boats and speedboats and whatever. Like, all bets are off when you get to that. It's not like I'm acting like there's going to be an open, huge conflict, but this will continue to escalate, especially now that we have confirmation that China is actually building physical structures out there. So that's what I'm watching. In the PACOM, got it right this time, region at this moment.
And there's 100% in insurgency in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not like one of the things I always try to talk to people about is, you know, going back in history, how we developed China. America was probably the nicest country to China. And China, all right, we were probably one of the nicest countries to them. And then, you know, we worked our Sino-Soviet split with the great Henry Kissinger, who just sat there in the meetings just going, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, like, I mean, just a brilliant class of how to handle yourself in front of Congress and Senate subcommittees. No idea what you're saying. I don't understand how you can think that way. But you know, so we built China up to this power, right? And now they got it. And you don't think that they've, you know, started going to places where we've had for, and again, go back a century now at this point, to where the Spanish controlled the Philippines for a reason, right? For a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very vital. So yeah, I'm kind of agree with you on this one, where it's, yeah, what red lines are they willing to cross?
Well, it's one of those things, man. Like, post World War II and our pivot to Japan, and then obviously the Chinese Civil War changes everything with what our policy was going to be there. However, I mean, China it's undeniable what their influence is on the global economy. So they have to be dealt with. They also have, like, the rape of Nanking during World War II that the Japanese did to China is a cultural event that I don't think a lot of people in the West give enough credit to. And so when we're like, oh, well,
they don't want to believe it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, why can't they just get along? Nah, fam, like, that ain't happening, right? And so, and then you throw in Korea, and, you know, obviously what happened in the Korean War. Like, this is we talk about the Middle East, and one of the problems with what I would say the Monroe Doctrine is, when you split up in the sphere of influences, then you're designating a top dog, and if you designate a top dog, then you are discounting what the regional players are capable of. And everybody's got cool toys now. It's not like, you know, Ukraine has shown and changed the game. You know, I give us credit for really, you know, obviously pioneering, you know, UAS and drones and everything, but it's to a different level now. And especially when you start talking about drone boats and everything else that can go. It is not nearly as expensive as it used to be to create geopolitical events. So one of the downsides to, and I empathize with the people that are anti-globalization. Like, I understand that worldview. However, what I would warn you is that when you go to sphere of influences and you nominate top dogs, well, there's a lot of countries in the world, man, and not everybody's going to see it that way. And then it's a recipe for competition amongst countries that are near each other to become said top dog. And then there's money involved, and then all the actors that come. So it might not be us, right? So when Brazil picks a side, I mean, and I'm not going to go too deep here, but just when other countries decide to influence these other paycoms with whether that's trade deals or money or whatever they're doing, right? You were setting up a scenario that I would argue often ends in conflict, especially in situations like this. Like, there's, I have not looked into this, but am I going to be surprised to find out that China sends money to fund some of the insurgencies in the Philippines? Absolutely not. Right. And so at what point does the Philippines say enough? Right. Or, and with all the problems that they have. So it's one of the downsides to isolationism and kind of the thought that you can split the world up like that. But we're just going to have to see what happens.
Let me jump on that for the Facebook, warriors that want to comment on this. And again, I have a good history background, but and I've said this in the first two shows, and I'll say it again. Tanner is going to elevate way past that, and I appreciate his knowledge on these things. But when I always talk about chasing the money and finding out, where these things are happening, I remember back, I mean, it's probably only 10, 15 years ago, where people are like, you could pick up on the libertarian isolationist vibe, right?
Yeah.
And I sit here, I go, and I would literally, I had a comeback that was saved on Facebook back in the day that was just like, grow up, Peter Pan. I'm like, the minute that we created a Navy, like, we are no longer isolationists. And when you go back into history, and going back to why did Spain send people west? Because they didn't control. Portugal controlled the trade route, the shipping routes that we talked about earlier. This is back in the 1500s, bro. Like it's the same problem, where who controls the strait? Who controls around the Horn of Africa?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Did I lose you? My man froze. All right, so I'll wait for him to come back on. Let me stop sharing. Maybe that'll help him out. All right, so I lost Nick. So he'll be back. I got faith.
I say, figures I lose connection.
Right as you were hitting your prime, man. You were like right
I didn't say anything all day. So where did I leave off on?
You were saying Portugal 1500s and geography
Portugal
remains undefeated.
Controlled, all around Africa with the trade route to China. So Spain went west to go find China, because there was this theory that you could go around the globe, right? Like there was this theory that you could go around it. It wasn't flat.
It's tough when the world's flat, dude. I think I need you to slow down.
Well, that's why nobody tried it. And then what was his name? Capernaum, or what? Capernaum was the one that was like, you know what? I think we're rotating around the sun. Copernicus. Yeah, I don't think the sun is rotating around us. Right? Like, that's my AP in the back, Natalie, correcting me on the name. So
shout out.
Yeah. So again, we go west, and then they find this continent that's got gold, a lot of gold.
I mean, yeah, man. Geography remains undefeated, and ultimately,
like you said, it goes all the way back, back.
Markets will always be, capitalism wins in that sense. Now people
crony capitalism. For you Facebook warriors out there that want to be isolationist, understand, the minute that America becomes an isolated country, we are in big trouble.
A pack of lunch. It sucks. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
All right. Now look, as much as I'd love to geek out about this, I do not think this is why everybody tuned in.
No.
So So guys, on Talk Monkey, this is what we do on the first part, right? We're going to talk about all the code cons. We'll pick like we'll deep dive a little bit on a story. Feel free to correct us, right? Because we're all just trying to, ultimately the goal here is to provide a source to have like honest conversations and try to make sense of this kind of crazy world that we live in. I got my, my own thoughts and opinions, and obviously Nick does too, which brings us back. We'll go back to Northcom here because I know that's what y'all want to hear. Let's talk about one General Chris Donahue, who has been, now depends on who you ask, and it depends on what time of day you ask them, right? So Chris Donahue has obviously had the Ukraine mission and the NATO land commander gig over there. He was, depending on, again, which source you pick, he was asked to retire, right, by Hegseth a couple months ago or a month ago. I'm going to give you one source line, and then I'm going to give you what broke in the news and whatever. And then the other source line was that that was slowed down by Army brass and Joint Chiefs of the, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Kane, right, or General Kane, sorry, and that they were trying to find him another job, right? That's what it was. So obviously the story finally breaks. Like, so some of us that know, like it was known that he was putting in his retirement papers, about a month ago. That kind of made the social circles, and not to, it's not like I'm like, Nick's a lot more special than me, right? But like, I heard about it. Well, lets me know that, DC was talking about it. And then it breaks in the news, and the Atlantic puts out a piece that basically lays that Hegseth had done it personally. I'll talk about my thoughts on that here in a second, because I'm actually giving him some grace here. And then all hell breaks loose on Twitter. And for about a solid 12 hours, most of the guys that are probably watching this, calling me an idiot or whatever, essentially lay the blame of HKIA on CD and say that he's a failure of a general and that it's all his fault. Reminder that he was in a 2-star command at that point, and actually showed up after Kabul had already fallen. And the 10th Mountain was actually there holding it down. One company of guys when he showed up, around, in addition to a million different enablers and all the 3-letter agencies that you could think of that were also on the ground. And that he staged, the evacuation goes how it goes. Obviously, I don't think, if you find anybody that is proud of what happened or is really happy about it, I would question their credibility, because I would tell you, I don't believe that I know anybody in 82nd wasn't thrilled about how it went down. But that's what paratroopers do. They get put in really, really shitty situations and they get the job done. And so the feedback to that was he should have resigned before he took the mission. We saw that a lot from some significant talking heads. That CD should have refused the mission and resigned before dishonoring himself and failing at the withdrawal process. And then we saw some initial reports that the photo op was staged. We heard a lot about the truck that was, that a paratrooper, a young paratrooper, exchanged a couple cans of dip for, so they would have at least a support by fire position and a way to get around the airfield. And then now it's kind of in the air. And then the other line that we've heard from some senior leaders, and I've had some extremely senior leaders try to convince me of this, that no, he was actually going to be the vice chair or the vice CSA, serving under General Leneve, who was his former subordinate when he was the division commander, and Donahue was the corps commander of 18th
Corps
Airborne
commander.
Corps.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what happened, right? And then obviously I made some noise about it. Now, let me be very, very clear here. I have nothing but respect for General Leneve. I truly do. So some people have seen some of the things I've said and taken it as I think that he is. Let me back up.
Well, hey, we're not segueing to the next one because we got a lot to cover here. But this is where we get to the point where if you're watching, which I thank you for watching, Big Earl Veteran Trash Talk and Gruntworks. Thanks to U.S. Army What the Fuck Moments for sharing it. Grand Admiral Propaganda. All right, won't reveal you by name, even though I know who you are. Right, like
what up, man?
But no, you're giving us the obvious answer. If you're polarized, this is a problem, because the minute that I say one thing in favor of CD or I say one thing in the favor of Laniv, it doesn't mean I'm on one camp.
Right.
I'm not a GO. Tanner's not a GO. We're not even, we weren't even. He was a warrant officer, but no, we weren't in any camp, bro.
Yeah.
Right. We're in the United States mother effing Army camp. That's what camp we're in. Right. Yeah. So try to hold your bias. And like I said, I asked that question not to get the obvious answer, Ken Ramos, but we'll
yeah.
So for it.
I think there's two. So I'm going to give my analysis of this situation, and this is not going to be the most popular. There are family trees when it comes to general officers. So all you senior leaders out there on Twitter that have been correcting me and telling me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, let me break down how I saw this happen. Right. And again, I say this as somebody that has the ultimate respect for both these gentlemen. General Laniv is an amazing family man. He is absolutely open to criticism. Me and him have gotten into it on numerous occasions about tactical situations right on OP13. Right. And he has listened to feedback and he has been receptive. However, if you, from his perspective, right, he is not inside the family tree, right, that kind of goes back what I would call currently, it goes further back than this. Like it would be like the General Fenzel line, right, of senior leaders. But let's go with the Pappas tree, right? So it's Pappas, George, Mingus, right, and on down. And that tree's still active, right? Now, George, Pappas, Garrett, and who else? Mingus are obviously all retired now. So CD, who was from across the fence, which is what makes this a little bit more interesting, right? He was kind of brought under that umbrella, right? Now, all y'all want to start talking about Millie. He doesn't have shit to do with this. Millie ain't got anything to do with this, right? But what happened was, and this is, I'll just be from a brigade targeting officer's perspective that served under both of these gentlemen in the same division back to back, right? And had regular interactions with both of them. They're yin and yang. They are completely different leaders with completely different outlooks. And while I've not, I've definitely talked with Laniv more than I ever did with CD. I was always more on the receiving end of CD guidance. What I will say is that it was not a surprise across anybody in the 82nd Airborne Division that General Laniv was not a fan of General Donahue. You can go talk to anybody that was in Poland when General Laniv showed up, and it was evident that there was a changing of the guard, right? And we were going to do things different, and that manifested itself in things like we got rid of the term LGOP, right? Little groups of paratroopers were not a thing under General Laniv in 82nd Airborne Division. PT was dramatically changed, whereas General Donahue had been extremely pushing hard H2F. He brought Dave Castro from CrossFit out to our brigade. He had a lot of ideas about drones. He's the one that put those drone nets up that you see all over Bragg. He was pushing nonstop, and he also hated being in garrison. So it was not like, dude, he got like urban legend, got on a damn jet and went to Poland without really asking a whole lot of people, right, beforehand, and following commander's intent, and was prepared and postured the 82nd and the IRF to be ready when Russia crossed the line. And so, and Laniv took command while they were in Poland, and he comes back, and there's just a dramatic change, right? We think little things, guys, right? And again, not hating on it, because it's the division I grew up in. We're doing battalion runs up and down Ardennes on, Mondays and Fridays. It's much more what I would call kind of, from my time and probably your time, like much more the older division, at least when the way it looks at PT. And then we reorganized the entire way we do airborne operations. The JFE became something we call All Plan Giant, which was his baby, right? And he absolutely was trying to figure it out. And I've said this on Twitter. His staff at the time was not talented enough to articulate his vision to the brigades. And so therefore they punted most of the mission planning for his vision down to the brigades, and therefore we got mixed results, which then led us to do things like standardizing talks at the brigade level, across the brigade, across the division. So what does that mean? They kicked I was the Targo in 2nd Brigade, right? This is a fact. They kicked my counterfire cell out of the brigade talk, not because of any there was no questions. They are not on there because 1st Brigade doesn't do it that way, right? And so that is, and we can have that fires nerd conversation if y'all want to, but that took options away from my commander, right? And I would have the debate on why fires belongs at the BC, or why counterfire belongs at the BCT all day with any of y'all. So please, if you really want to have that conversation, please come on, right? And we can have that debate.
There's a gray man that's a 3-star right now that I won't talk about, that you know who I'm talking about, who was a battalion commander of ours, that will 100% agree with you. And if your fires aren't your priority in a near peer threat,
it's a problem.
Okay.
And
okay.
But I give a lot,
grunt, bro. That's coming from a grunt. I'd love to say, like, just let me at them. No, let me at them after they do their job. Then let me at them.
And then we see he absolutely, so his time gets cut short. I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit. His time gets cut short, and the people that cut his time short, absolutely, the guys that would be involved in that are the Corps commander, which was General Donahue, and General Pappas at the time, right? And Garrett maybe at that time, right? It switched from Garrett to Pappas. So he gets sent to Korea, guys. Pappas. Yeah, his time as division commander. And I know that man I know General Neve loves the 82nd Airborne Division more than anything. Like, I know that. And loves paratroopers. Absolutely. I've heard the man say, you ain't a leader if you're not a jump master, right? Out of his mouth, right? That man loves paratroopers, and he absolutely believes in the 82nd Airborne Division. And I think he wanted the best for it. He had a very specific vision on what that was going to be. It did not manifest itself, and he got sent to Korea, right?
Yep.
He goes out to Korea. 8th Army takes that over, and then he calls in to the inaugural ball. Right. And then he gets noticed by some people. Some people go out to PACOM, not Indo-PACOM anymore. And then he becomes one of the Sec War's military advisors. Right. So he goes from 2-star, and then he gets 3. And then now he's the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army after they fired Mingus, and he's on deck, right, to absolutely be the Chief of Staff of the Army. Here's where a lot of y'all aren't getting it. Right. And I don't mean anything about, I haven't talked a lot about Donahue because his record speaks for itself. I'm here to give you what is actually happening, or at least my opinion on what is actually happening versus this. If you think, I heard one of the talking points, Donahue can be the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army. Are you high? Right. Does Donahue go serve under Leneve, the guy that he sent to Korea? Right, the guy who absolutely hates him. They knew if that's true and they actually offered that, like, please, man, like, that is telling him he's done. Which, fine, you serve. The GOs serve at the pleasure of the president, but don't act like he was a woke DEI HKIA his fault. This man has done nothing, absolutely nothing, but commit violence of action for this country at every single echelon and some of the most tiered units that there are. And so do not piss on my leg and tell me it's raining and I'm giving them the credit.
Judy reference.
Bro, Leneve won. There's this, the family tree struggle that happened, right? The Pappas and Fenzel tree lost, right? That battle inside, completely evident by the fact that Mingus and George are no longer there, right? So to the spoils go the victor. We should be able to say that out loud and not be called. Yeah, go ahead. That's my rant. We should be able to call a ball on a strike here.
Great rant. And again, you have a lot of the keyboard warriors that think they know, and they're voicing their opinion with emotion, and then saying like, oh, this is woke, or this is bullshit. This is Trump did this, Hegseth did that. Pick up a mother effing history book. All All right, pick one up, please. This is why Tara and I did this stuff. We read these things because we just wanted to understand why things are happening. Whether or not we agree with them doesn't mean that that's not why they're happening. It's just, I made the post. I'll say it. The big Earl made the post on Twitter today on the X Factor that said General MacArthur, who, if you want to talk about family lineage and family tree of generals, there aren't many better in the United States than he.
Not yet.
And he got ousted because he argued with the president about going into China.
I mean, he wanted to hit him with nukes. Okay.
Right.
But yes,
but
he did.
Yeah. He's like, why don't we just keep going? Right? Like, just keep going. And so they gave him his 10 minutes in front of Congress where he pounded the gavel and then poof, gone.
Yep.
See you later. Next man up. The Army literally wrote a song about this. It's called "The Army Keeps Rolling Along." Right? Like it just keeps rolling along. Here's where taking some of your points, Tanner. I just want to hit on that. Some of you keyboard warriors that are getting mad at CD, right? Or thinking that he was some kind of woke vajayjay for not resigning the mission in Afghanistan. We talked about this on the Trash Talk Hour when it was going on, especially when it was like right afterwards, because it was very, very emotional to a lot of people.
Yep.
What the 82nd, what the Air Force did, what 10th Mountain did, what the Marines did there was nothing short of remarkable. Remarkable. And that's another thing that's not getting talked about. Yep. You think he should have resigned. Well, guess what? The mission still would have happened.
Yeah.
And now you're going to take yourself away from one of the most dangerous, impactful missions in the history of the GWAT.
Yeah.
CD wasn't giving that up because he was a man of honor, because he was a warrior.
Yeah.
That withdrawal was actually one of the most beautiful things. I watched a military operation happen. It wasn't one of the most beautiful things to my heart.
Yeah.
But watching what our boys and girls were doing, not to mention some of the other operations that were going on at the same time.
Right.
Like, and hey, find the 82nd guy with the Oakleys on. That's who you got to talk to coming out of the tunnel. All right. Some of you might want to know about that one, right? Like, no. Yeah. And like Tanner hit it, we send our best. We send our Breaking in Case of War. That movie's coming out. That documentary's coming out. When you need to go somewhere real fast and do something weird, not a direct action hit, just something weird, you send the 82nd because they're ready. All right, yeah. They're ready to go. And if you think CD should have resigned on that mission, I need you to go back and look at what they did and then who you think should have been in charge of that. All right, the dude's a gangster. He's a warfighter. He's a patriot. And again, I know General Leneve too. General Leneve is also a warfighter and a patriot.
Yeah.
Pick up a history book. This has happened in every army. If General Rommel was from a family of prominent people, we'd all be speaking German. Nobody listened to him in the field marshals because he wasn't prominent, and they sent his ass to Africa. They talk to some officers. They still teach his retrograde operation from Africa, from North Africa, at West Point. Like how beautiful he did that with no resources.
Yeah,
right.
Man,
like imagine if he was respected in Germany by like the field marshals, by the Reich. Like,
I mean,
we'd have a problem.
Between me and you, we probably know what 200 people that were on that mission.
Yeah.
Right. And I know personally know 4 guys that were on the plane. The photo op thing bothered the shit out of me because it's bullshit. Right. And then the war trophy thing, like, I get it. If you're not an 82nd guy, I empathize. Me and Jack McCain, who's John McCain's son, we kind of had a tiff about this, which I understand the emotional attachment to. We all, like, at least the GWAT guys, like, we were all there. It was very difficult to watch what was happening, but like somebody says, like we blame the firefighters for showing up to the fire, man. And this is what we were worried about. And this is where
you're becoming a politician, what you're yelling about.
Yeah.
You're literally becoming a politician.
Like I understand the talking heads, and then what's coming out of it. This is where I get the frustrated with them is like, on one hand, they're telling us it was all his fault, but then when they got the pushback from people that actually like served, right? And I'm not knocking the guys that are veterans or the older guys that were not post GWAT, but this is an 80-second thing, guys, right? Like your paratroopers understand what was taking place here, right? And then everything that was at play there, great question, right? Like it's just like you're seeing it, like the CCP and dude, we are the #1 target. If you have an opportunity to embarrass America, every adversary we have is going to take the opportunity to do it. And they absolutely do. You have to look no further than Russia and China, giving Iran the grid coordinates to hit us, and UAE and Kuwait and everything else. And what open source isn't telling you about all the damn radars we lost that got blown up that contractors were at. And that's why the refund bill is $80 billion, guys. Right? Yeah. Like, I get it. Y'all are on Twitter. I'm super excited about it. But like and I know me and Nick feel the same way about this. We are open to having this conversation with anybody. Right? But come prepared to actually talk about, because this is what I was going to, like, we are believers in the gospel of violence of action. If you are not ready, like if y'all, like Nick has done way more in his career than I ever did. And I had a pretty damn good one, right? We are not always politically aligned. I think he's a populist. I like to consider myself a conservative Republican, right? But what I will tell you is what brings us together, as much as we argue back and forth, is when push comes to shove, when you talk about violence of action and the science of industrial scale killing, right? We will nerd out with you. If you're talking about memes and GIFs and you want to get on Twitter and say, I'm your son to whoever the fuck you are with your PhD, this right here for you, right? Please come on and have that conversation, dude. But if you can't talk about lift and shifts and signals and C2 and comms and what it takes to actually take an objective, to actually kill people, to actually industrial scale people, to actually set the conditions to kill people, like, you don't belong here. We're not trying to have the conversation with you. Right. And you're not. And so that's really what this is actually kind of becoming, is like, y'all have hijacked the conversation and made it political. Guys, we talking about killing here, right? All over the world. And let's talk about how people are killing each other and what are the strategic implications of that. And so I get it. Y'all got 100,000 followers. Infantry Dort, shout out. Challenge still remains. We're still here. And if y'all also, if you don't want to have that conversation, if you want to help us out to actually help veterans, segue, we're going to go a little long today. If you actually want to help us help veterans, let's talk about legislative efforts, because we're both in that game, right? He's in DC, or he was in DC this week. I'll be up there in September, right? We want to talk about in veteran suicide or sexual assault or rape, whatever your mojo
I'm not dancing
is.
What you just said, I'm dancing because you're getting in my realm. My master's degree is in public administration. Like, let's go.
So like we are by nature, paratroopers are problem solvers and we are in a solution-based business. So I'm not here to have your talking head conversation. If once we diagnose that that's all you're worth, we're going to make fun of you repeatedly. And then you're not going to be able to call anybody to tell us shut up, because we are who we are, man. And we had the careers we had. So like, good luck.
Amen.
All right. Yeah. So moving on. You had a rant, and you put me in I won't say you put me in an awkward position, but I knew we had the debate and we had to start talking about the Taking Care of Veterans Act. And this is why you're a populist, just like a inch away from being a socialist, to be honest with you. Like, that's my opinion of you at this point. So I want you to give me your, like, so now guys, understand real quick, I cannot hide from it. Me and Nick talked about this pre-show. I am the North Carolina VFW legislative chairman, right? So what you're about to hear, like, I mean, prior to this, sure, if you want to call the VFW and snitch on me, whatever, I don't really care. But post this, like, we're going to talk about legislative efforts and the Take Care of Veterans Act, which Cottrell seems to think is the best thing ever. I'll give you the floor, sir.
The best thing ever is a great way to intro that. You know, the reason why I love this act, and I'll play into your game, and I'll play into the X crowd, and I'll say this. But again, you know, this is like me arguing history against you about certain eras that I have no idea about in the public administration realm, and then you mix it with what you just talked about with the 82nd and what our actual mission is, right? And what we're supposed to do in wholesale killing. I hope I didn't freeze again. Did I freeze again?
No, you're good. I see you.
No, good. Okay. Yeah. What was driving me insane is to take away from your. I don't label myself. I would love to think of myself as a constitutionalist.
Now you sound like super woke. Like I can't even. Don't. What do they say? Don't. I hope you didn't freeze. I was gonna make fun of Nick.
I was in the first place. War One veterans came back and gave him land and a donkey, bro. Land and a donkey. All right. Like you know what? Would I have not taken 3 acres? Would I have not taken 3 acres when I came back from Iraq the first time? I'd take 3 acres, bro. Like, give it up. Anyway,
they had to go sleep on the National Mall to get it next to the pool that wasn't existing yet. But anyway, continue.
Anyways, here's what I see. You know, I watch the VSOs. They start uprising. Okay, whether it's the VFW, the American Legion, IAVA, and as some of you know who watch the Trash Talk Hour, I'm very, very connected with my local VFWs and legions and the national levels too. And I absolutely love promoting and doing everything they're doing. I digress. You can't. There are so many of you who, when your Facebook scrolls with the VFW saying they're taking our benefits, you're the same person that cusses the VA out for their processes. Why are we not trying to change them? Why are we not trying to find a better way to become more efficient? And so I wish I was at my house with my internet, like, because it's but anyway. When I hear, okay, what is the main problem? Because this bill is massive, and Tanner and I talked about this pre-show that if it was just the Richard Starr Act or it was just Section 108, right, that would be the easiest way to run the country. But we're not doing that. No. We're gonna, nope. We're gonna throw it all into one big beautiful bill, China, right? One big beautiful bill. So. It's the GOP's new strategy. It was one big, beautiful bill. I read Section 108, and I have it up there. Like, should I put it up, or should I just have people look it up? Because I don't think we have a lot of Twitter viewers right now. We got about 174, which is massive. Thank you, WTF. All right, and you guys make sure you follow us because we have an awesome mission other than this too. Let me see if I can find this here. Make sure I put up the right page first. You might be able to see that. Right? Yeah, sleep apnea. What does that verbiage say if you go down it? All right, I'm going to pull it up on my phone because I can't even see it on this computer, and I have it teed up right away.
I'm going to let you get it all out, brother, because,
yeah. But oh my gosh. So what does it say? Sleep apnea. In general, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs shall revise the schedule of rating disabilities opted and applied under Section 1115 of Title 38. Says that a lot because that's what they're referencing. A grade of disability of 0% shall be assigned to sleep apnea syndrome. The syndrome is asymptomatic or without treatment. All right. Put your common sense head on. Asymptomatic became a big thing during COVID, and I lost my shit during COVID, and Tanner knows this. Like, asymptomatic means you're healthy. Like, bottom line, you might have sleep apnea, but it ain't bothering you, right? You ain't got no fever. Okay, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that one. All right. And then we go. A grade of disability of 10% shall be assigned for sleep apnea syndrome. Treatment yields incomplete relief. All right. So you're getting treatment and it's not working. All right. 10%. Why? Because this have to be a 4-hour conversation, because what is disability for? Disability is not allowing you to live a life that you want to live, not allowing you to get after things that you want to get after, things that happen in service that hurt you, right? Like cause you pain, right? Things that you've done, right? So this is where you have effects, right? You have effects. It's not really working. 10%, right? A grade of 50% should be assigned sleep apnea syndrome if effective. The treatment is either ineffective and/or the veteran is unable to use prescribed equipment. All right, and then I don't want to keep reading this one because we'll get long. Mm-hmm. And there is language in here where we'll get into on both parts of it for tinnitus and sleep apnea, where remember who's paying this bill, right? Taxpayers are paying this bill for what you did for them.
As a part of the contract that you signed.
Right. That again, this is what they're paying for.
That so, now Congress is trying to change.
Right? Because who's Congress in charge of? They're in charge of the budget. They're in charge of the budget for the taxpayers.
Correct. All right.
Now, like we brought up earlier, I wish my buddy from Baylor could be on here, the West Point grad. They talked about written law and interpreted law.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I want you to finish because like
we can tackle those first three things. I'm like, is there anything wrong with that?
So
is there anything wrong with this?
No, there is not. And here's what I would like to tell you. There's already a system in place that is congressionally mandated to handle this, and it's the VA review process. And I'm not going to bore y'all with the acronyms. And so what you're seeing a lot of the sources say on the internet is like, well, this got introduced into Biden stuff, right? Well, that's because doctors and everybody looks at it, right? And then they come back with a schedule change and a rating change, which these things happen more often than most people understand, right? Where ratings can be altered and whatnot. What those are not tied to, right, is where we get into very, very murky water. And what the VFW stance is that now Congress is trying to circumvent a process that is congressionally mandated and already stated to then offset the costs, right, of the Major Richard Starr Act, which, by the way, is one of the most bipartisan supported acts ever. And then they introduced it as what, I don't want to get too nerdy for y'all, but as a pay as you go, right? And when they did that, the offset costs become like $59 billion. Well, the Major Richard Starr Act's only going to run like 11. All right. So they're cutting out, let's say, to your point, okay, fine. Then they get to shirk $40 more million. But the only reason they're able to do that is because they've lumped them all in with everything else. Right. And this is Congress. And this is where this becomes a principled conservative conversation to me. Right. Is that there is legislation that has been scored by the CBO that absolutely can be funded. Right. Like right now, Excess on the Hill asking for 80 billion more, which would then pay for the Major Richard Starr Act for the next 8 decades. Right. Fine. Like veterans and active duty service members, you have signed a contract with the federal government and you are to abide by the rules that they set. Right. Which is what we all did when we raised our right hand. And so now what we have is Congress is trying to change the way that is structured to say, well, we can do offsets now to then bring the VA to circumvent the VA's process, which I'm not necessarily against them reforming the VA. Then do it clean, because what you're doing right now is you're going to throw them all together.
Change your argument of doing it clean, because we agree on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But they're not going to do that. Right. And now I'm politically, I believe that this thing's going to end up dead. Just cause me and you talked before, like when the POTUS
it'll die, and veterans caused it to die.
Well, I think the
same VA that we bash, that we trash. Now, some of you have good ones, some of you have bad ones. The same ones that we trash, the minute that we that minute that Congress, who is, yes, responsible for the budget, whispers a change, and they didn't just come up with this change out of the blue. Like, you don't think they talked to, like, hey,
No,
where
I'd argue this specific one they did.
where is, I mean, you can probably just ChatGPT at this point. Where is the biggest waste of money that we are fixing things for people? And again, I'm a grunt, bro. I got $25,000 from 3M. I got 25 grand. Straight up. I cleared 14K, bro. I cleared 14K, right? They gave me those defective ear pro, and I actually wore them, and I had to send in a picture of me wearing them on the range.
That you deserve an award for that. Like,
dude,
for that. I thought that was a joke.
I was tier 2. There was tier 1. Those guys got 6 figures, bro. All right. And some of y'all thought it was fake. Right?
I thought it was
real.
Like, I was like, that shit ain't
I knew it was 100% real. Right. I knew it was, the minute they were charging $110 a pop for those things, like, this is like wax, bro. Like, so like, but anyways, they give us Peltors, right? We're not wearing the 3M earplugs.
Yeah.
Right. And again, if it's service connected, it's even, I'm not going to belabor and bring up the tinnitus one. Right.
Right.
The tinnitus one, it says if it's service connected, it will still be rated.
Yeah. I think
but you talked about, we signed a contract, and we earn these things. We earn these things by doing what we're told. Right. We earn these things by being disciplined and being stewards of a profession.
Right.
Well, if you're a jackass, didn't want to put your pro on when you're sending a 155 downrange, is that the taxpayer's fault? Well, now, if it's combat, and you didn't happen to put them in, ain't nobody going to argue that.
Yeah, I think
ain't nobody going to argue that.
I think
nope. And that's real.
What bothers me personally, right? And I think this mirrors what the VFW is really saying. Now, I understand what you're saying on social media, but in the conversations that I'm having, what the VFW is deathly afraid of is that if they do not hold the line here, and I used this example on Facebook, and it was kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it's funny because I don't want to get amputees like pissed off at me. Thank you for your service. But like, okay, cool. You had this dope ass prosthetic in 2 years with AI enabled that's Neuralink, and you're able to operate as you normally would, right? The language as it's written in the pathway that Congress is laying down in this absolutely then will allow them, if the VFW and the other VSOs do not hold the line here, then you can literally be a double amputee, but you have Neuralink and you have these sweet ass prosthetics, and say, well, you're not in pain. And so therefore your rating is 10%. And that's a stretch.
It's a stretch, and this is why so that's an interpretation of what you see written.
Yes.
Right. Which is fair. Right. 100% fair. Where I'm going to argue with you is we can't go there to stop progress in changing something for the better. So the Richard Starr Act, some of the other things that people haven't read in this bill because they're just pointed to by the VFW, they're increasing money for lots of things in your life that veterans are actively doing right now. Yeah. And here's why I get triggered, and here's where my bias starts to kick in, that I have to try to control it, right? I have to try to grab it. I have to try, because the bias is coming out wanting to call all you mother effing pogues, right, that got my tinnitus and sleep apnea, right? Like, stop it. Okay, tinnitus is, you don't get rated very well for tinnitus in the first place.
Not at all.
Right? Tinnitus, you then go for secondary conditions like it causes me sleep problems. In fact, it might cause me sleep apnea, right? It causes me, where I can't, where I'm anxious, I'm over anxious and then I get migraines, right? Those are real things, right? And those are real problems.
Yeah.
But to just say tinnitus is a 10% rating, right? The CBO did some analysis and saying, we don't have to just automatically give 10% for tinnitus.
Which,
right?
Yeah.
And if I can, and again, this is taxpayers' dollars. This is where it gets, if you ask me in a perfect world, we get rid of most taxes. not making me a socialist. So I think, we get rid of most of them in my book. However, if untreated, that's that big line in that sleep apnea one. If untreated, you get a 0. And here's where I'm going to call it the VSOs, the VFWs, the Legions.
Well, the Legion's for it, so you're probably on.
I know. I saw that. Like I'm just saying, like all of them. Like, if you're not encouraging people to go get treatment, which is exactly what Veteran Trash Talk does, what Gruntworks does, like go get the treatment that you signed a contract for and earned. If you say I'm too good to get that treatment, well, the taxpayer, they did not expect you to sign a contract to sit in the corner and feel bad for yourself, right? You signed a contract to go. They're going to pay the money to give you a machine. So now going back to your point about the amputee and the thing, big. That's a big talking point. One which definitely I would be on the hill of Capitol throwing things at them if that happened.
It's hyperbole. It's an extreme example. I'll give you credit.
I would be throwing things. I would be throwing my medals on the Capitol like John Kerry. All right, back in the day, like I'd be doing it. And that's not making fun of John Kerry. Like I'd be throwing my medals on the Capitol Hill too. Like if that happened to somebody, but here's where I'll turn it on you on the hyperbole.
Okay.
If we could spend the money as taxpayers to where you were a W amputee and we could make your life better based on the double amputee, hyperbole, right? I can give you some robotic legs, like what's that movie called? All I want is some robot legs, right? I'll give you some robot legs that make you hit 350-yard draws, right? Like I said on there, like, should you get money every month?
Yes, bro. You lost both
right
your
now,
legs,
bro. Right now, I will take the 350-yard draw over my two broken ass legs.
Just because you can get a +10 handicap doesn't mean you don't deserve to be compensated for your legs being lost, bro.
I need a knee replacement at the age of 35. If you could put a robotic leg on there and have me hit bombs, dude, I am on it.
You're gonna have to roll the golf ball back. Like if you ever got a bio suit to play golf in, Jesus Christ. No, dude, look, I think
that's the hyperbole on that one. Like
I'm gonna send you this book.
We need to heal warriors. We need to heal them, not wound them.
I'm gonna send you this book. This is Russell Kirk.
Right? I know. Yes.
What I'm saying is, and I'll leave it at this: is that the principal conservative position is completely at odds with what the GOP is currently trying to do, which is jam this through an omnibus bill. And all the VFW is really asking is like we've been fighting for Major Richard Starr for 6 years. This has been a legislative.
Let's really ask that.
Yeah, and so it's ultimately like, guys, like now you are trying to win the public affairs battle and hold a gun to our head and say the VSOs are killing the Major Richard Starr Act. No, you changed the language in it, and we were 5 signatures away on the discharge petition. And
that was fact. What you're saying right there is fact. What you're saying right there is fact.
Yeah, from staffers and from the Hill, the note was in the House. Representative Johnson, they did not want to give. I think it's your guy out there in California, Taka. I don't want to mess his name up. They didn't want to give Democrats.
Not going to work in 2 months.
Yeah, they didn't want to give the Democrats the win on the discharge, and also because of what they already did it with Massey, right? So they already had the Epstein thing, but they do not want the discharge petition to become a tool to force votes. And so they held the line on that, which is why Mike Lee and the rest of and Don Bacon, these guys were on Twitter saying they were going to sign it. But when they got back to DC, they were like, we're not going to do it. Right. And it's because of that political game. Here's the other thing. When it becomes an omnibus, and this is now my segue, and then I'll shut up because we're running long. Like Boast is Boast has taken over $80,000 from Veterans Guardian. My number one.
What state's he from?
He's Illinois?
The most corrupt state in the union. Like we talked pre-show, the Ukraine of the United States.
Like, do you expect me? Let's say I don't have anything to do with the VFW, to trust that once this the Nancy Pelosi thing, we'll read it when it's done. If Choice Act language which absolutely in the process that they have set up can be re-entered into this bill the way they're doing it through the omnibus kind of, we got 60 bills that we're going to pass it before the 4th of July. They don't have that trust with the VSOs. That has been lost, right? And so to me, the principal conservative thing is like, guys, like I got it. Midterms are coming up and you want to win and you can beat up on the VFW. Fine. You can beat up on the other VSOs. The American Legion absolutely sold out, right? Fine. Cool. Y'all have, because the respectful to the American Legion, I know that you're original. Y'all have no standards, right? Like anybody can join. But anyway,
well, now the VFW changed their policies too, so that they could stay alive.
Nah, we'll talk about that in a future episode. But my point, my point is, dude, like I sincerely, after the POTUS went up to the Hill and didn't sign the Housing Act, I think they're cooked until midterms. I don't think they're going to be able to get their shit together for months. There might be a signal vote, but the Senate just went in recess, so it's not like it's passing there anyway. And then they're going to get into the midterms, and Lord knows what happens between now and Iran. And there's unless they massively change the language, they could fix this tomorrow. 5 people could sign the discharge petition, or they could just pass the Major Richard Starr Act. Because literally, it's ridiculous. It's literally like all but 5 people are co-sponsors on this damn thing. It's like one of the most bipartisan supported bills ever. It costs $1 billion a year. The SEC war is at the Hill asking for $80 billion right now, right? Like this is the cost of war, right? And I've said this before, like I am one, like they beat me up because originally all the people that were pissed about this were like, well, you're the VFW and they don't support it. I was like, guys, I benefit from this bill. I took a $3,000 pay cut when I got medically retired.
Same.
And so
I'm in the same boat as you.
It's like, guys, like, no, we all want it. But you're not going to hold a gun to our head and then have us and then not be transparent with us, because they're not, right? And then say, fine, get your little news cycle out. Me and you've talked about it for 20 minutes. Pass something. Like no VSOs that, like, trust me, we went North Carolina, the center of the universe for veterans, absolutely went up there. You want to know how many actual reps met with a single person? Not one. They don't give a shit.
The staffers do. Staffers do.
They send a 21-year-old kid out to talk to us.
Yep.
Right. Like they don't give a shit about us. And so you don't get to get on Facebook or Twitter or wherever and tell me how we're screwing over veterans, dude. You wouldn't walk out and talk to a 30-year serving colonel, right, and shake his hand, right, and give him 5 minutes of your time, right? You don't have the trust of the VSOs for us to be like blindly sign off on this bullshit you're trying to pull. Cool, man, then pass it, which you can't because you're so dysfunctional, right? And so don't blame me for your dysfunction. So in rant,
I'm glad you got a taste of that, Tanner, because I tell people if you want a career in lobbying, all right, if you want a career in defense sales, or you want a career in anything, the person that says, oh, I can talk to Congressman so-and-so, doesn't matter.
No.
Right? You need to go talk to that 21-year-old. You need to go take that 21-year-old out to the bar and get him jacked up. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what the lobbyists do.
Yeah. Make him your best friend.
They write those bills. And here's where I'm going to talk to you, America, all the WTF Nation watching. All right, because thank you so much again, WTF, for sharing us on the X, because we are shadow banned on Facebook. Not shadow banned, we're officially banned. 90 days, right? They are not recommending our page. They suck. But so thank you so much for doing that. I want you, the Big Earl always comes at you from the reasonable take, right? Where it's like, I don't necessarily agree with the language, but I'm sitting here like, who here has been bashing the VA all their life? And when they try to change it, you're like, no, we can't change the VA process. Check your bias. Check your bias. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right either. But I do agree really, really close with Tanner here on when it comes to conservatism. Can we not just pass this bill? can we not just pass? Can we not just read this 3 pieces of paper and make this 3 pieces of paper great? No, we're going to put 400 pages in here, and now nobody can make it great. Yeah. There's things in there that are absolutely ridiculous, and then there's things in there that are great. I'm only about 200 pages in reading it, like, because I got shit to do. Like,
yeah, bro, drop that thing in Claude, bro.
Like, yeah. And again, I just like to read it. I like to read what it says. And so all you out there watching that are, again, if you're going to make this about sleep apnea and tinnitus, I'm telling you right now, as a grunt that did a lot of dumb things without your hearing protection on and slept in a lot of weird positions in a lot of weird places, like, there are things you can do to make your life better. And I always say F the government, because this is exactly what we're talking about. However, the great VSOs, and like I still think the VFW is great. I think the Legion is great. I think the IAVA is great. But I'm just asking them to check themselves a little bit, to where if you're going to rile up the caucus, be careful. Be careful, because there's a lot of really, really good things we can accomplish, and we do need to change things. Yeah. Just like the VFW changed, just like the IAVA changed.
Yeah, I think
that's my lowering thing. Rocky said it the best in Rocky 4. Everybody could change. People could change.
I can change. You could change.
You could change.
Bro, it ain't getting no much better than that to end on, dude. Yeah, I think again, Talk Monkey's all about lowering the temperature. We love to talk shit, but like, guys, and I saw, hey, the doctor guy, now that you responded and said, hey, I can't join without a link, you called me your son, dude. So hit up Nick.
Oh, he wanted to join?
Yeah, like midstream, like whatever. But by all means, dude, like, reach out to us. You can absolutely come on. Like, you've seen the dynamic now. It is what it is. Like, we're not scared.
There'll be a guest. There'll be a guest on the next show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So just reach out and we'll make it happen. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us, dude. Yeah, we went long, but there was a lot to talk about. So China.
Love you guys.
All right, y'all be good.